Holy shit, Thorn exclaimed. I knew it! This is a sacrificial ritual. Luna felt a sip in horror. She knows we're witches? Bridget snarled. Well, yeah, can't you guys read minds? Thorn asked. She knew to answer that question, but she wondered if prodding Bridget subtly will cause her to reveal the extent of her mind-reading abilities. Only when we want to, Sam admitted. Wait a minute. You didn't really knew. How did you know? Gus interjected. We read minds through a collecting ritual. We're not doing it consistently, Bridget snapped. Don't tell them, Nia cautioned. It doesn't matter now. We are about to carry out a plan we've been waiting for months to execute, Bridget said, lightening her squeeze tightly on Dusk, causing the blonde to yelp. She looked like a crazed maniac with two of her hands gripped firmly around Dusk's neck. And the timid Bridget let out a slip. Even though it was incredibly small, gave Thorn some insight as to why Bridget reacts so harshly and rashly to hint any of the possible disruption of their plan. It wasn't even the fact that it was fixating on the little details. It was actually because she hadn't been listening to every thought like Thorn had previously believed. Maybe Bridget could only hear bits and pieces of the conversations for her rituals, and that's why she reacted so strongly to every digression against her plan. Maybe now those digressions were also she was hearing? Bridget, isn't resurrecting your mom and sister a little rash? Dusk asked. Couldn't you try, I don't know, visiting her grave every Sunday or something? Bridget let out a cute, high-pitched laugh, which made him more terrifying than if she were to simply just laugh normally. For what I am trying to accomplish, hardly, Bridget smirked. Alright, it's story time with Bridget, so gather around. The Hex girls and Gus didn't know what to do at first, so they just simply sat there. I said gather around! Bridget raised her voice, causing all of them to immediately do as she said. Shortly after I was born, my mother and sister died. Not from natural causes, though. They were killed by some uber-religious nut who said that my mom was a spawn of Satan for practicing witchcraft. You see, she accidentally slipped up and used the powers in front of her best friend, who was extremely religious. My mother's best friend was convinced that my mom was possessed by an evil spirit, and after she saw my mother use her powers. So one night, she came to her house and killed her, and my sister tried to intervene and save our mother. But that frickin' nutcase killed her too, and that's why I want to bring them back, so we could take revenge. You mean you didn't imprison her after she did? That's horrible, Thorn said. She wasn't exactly sure how to express sympathy to someone who was clearly out of their right mind, but she thought she did a decent job. Oh no, they imprisoned her, Bridget confirmed. Then who are you taking revenge on? Gus chimed in. Oh, I don't want any revenge, just on my mother's best friend. I want to eliminate all religions that are not witchcrafts. And my mother's powers. She will keep me gathered the supporters to kill everyone who practices a religion other than Wicca. Religion is just an introduction, and it just only creates the oppression, abstraction, and hatred. And as for this ritual, my mother and sister and I have the life that we've always dreamed of would be together. Things will be how they would have been if we sat back in the park like my mom and sister used to, before I was born. Then we would talk about nothing and everything together, Bridget said. She was a bit of a whimsy and hope in her voice that expressed the last sentiment. And all religion? Gus gasped. That doesn't seem a tad bit unattainable. Perhaps at first, but I'm in this for the big long haul, Bridget clarified. If I could spend 3 months manipulating some stupid talents into the band being famous, then I think I can wait a few years to ultimate my revenge plan to play out. The last comment Bridget made, admittedly, hurt Thorn's heart a bit. Wait, why did you say you wanted to make us famous if this was your plan? Wouldn't it have been easier to do this in private and then force us to do the ritual? Thorn inquired. What do you think this is, a frickin' question time? Bridget's nostrils flared with anger. It was clear that form that the woman was truly insane, and this was accentuated by the fact that her tone immediately became soft and sweet again, like it normally was. All right. I just want to make everyone comfortable here before I start with this ritual. No one bothered responding. I'll just tighten my grip and make Dusk's neck feel a little snug and warm. Bridget smiled as Dusk let out another yelp when she squeezed tighter. Now having your soul possessed as by my mother's spirit will only hurt a little. I promise. Luna looked over at Luna. Thorn looked over at Luna, who obviously looked like she was terrified and uncomfortable, that she was nearly in tears. But what happens when your mother's inside of Dusk? Thorn stuttered. She didn't want to make Bridget get any more insane with her question. But she'd never forgive herself if she didn't do anything possible to save her friend. Good question, sweetie, Bridget exclaimed. It's quite simple. Dusk's soul will be able to withstand the possession for a while. Eventually the two spirits might be too much for her body, and her body will kill off Dusk's spirit. Then my mother will be able to host a body for a little while until she's strong enough to be back inside her own body again. See, it's a win-win for everyone. Now don't anyone try to revolt or do anything to disrupt this ritual. That it won't be good, Sam warned. If you did that, we'd have to kill you. Dispose of your bodies in some lake. You know, that unpleasant stuff. We won't, Gus said in a defeated tone. What do we have to do to abide your ritual? Oh my gosh, the Positive Vibes Corporation. I like it, Bridget said. She got a big smile on her face. Well, all you have to do is join hands while I say a few words. I'll make Dusk keeps the necklace on, and that's when we'll take care of the rest. Ready to start? Nia asked. All of a sudden, a man came wearing a FedEx uniform. He was carrying several large boxes. A delivery order for the Hex girls. We've got 1,000 t-shirts here, the FedEx man said. Is that Gus Boggs here? I need him to sign this. This is awkward, but we're kind of in the middle of a satanic ritual here. Bridget tapped her foot impatiently. Sam pointed to the fact that Bridget's hands were currently around Dusk's neck in a strangled hold. Ah, damn it. I always come at worst times. The FedEx man shook his head. I'll just leave these on the ground for you. The man placed the boxes on the floor, quickly sprinted out of the building. Sam, can you lock the door so nobody else bothers us? Bridget inquired. I'm already on it. Sam rushed over to the lock of the door to the theater, and then she quickly hurried back to join hands with Nia and Gus. Dusk, remember to focus all your energy on the necklace, Bridget instructed, as she let go of the grip on Dusk's neck, and tightly gripped her hand instead. Dusk moved on to the position and let Luna hold her hand. Remember, I can still choke you even if you're not holding onto the necklace, sweetie, so don't try anything. I won't, Dusk whispered, still hoarse from Bridget's chokehold. Thorn had never seen Dusk so weak. Now the ritual could finally begin, and Bridget announced as she closed her eyes and began speaking. Goddess of time, goddess of light, bring back my mother and sister tonight. Open the portal so the world may see that they would still be with me. Now I need everyone to close their eyes and visualize the opening of space of some sort. Thorn didn't want to, but she knew that if it didn't work, Bridget would go psychotic and possibly decapitate them all anyway. Thus she imagined blackness at first, then slowly shifted her vision to include a small portal open up midair. It's working, Bridget squealed in excitement. Keep imagining. Thorn did as she was told, and keep visualizing the portal slowly turn into a triangle door made out of wood, which opened up her mind. We're on to the final stage, Bridget exclaimed. Open your eyes and repeat after me. Washi Aikitio Shamaru Tobaris Stratudu Brahmi. Everyone repeated the gibberish words Bridget said. Thorn's jaw dropped in horror, and the swirling black hole opened up mid-air right in front of their very eyes. It seemed to open up wider and wider with every word they said. Suddenly Thorn had a realization. It wasn't to solve anything to get rid of witches. Empathy but she did know it was the only way she could get out of this alive. At this point, the remain alive wasn't even certain, but she knew that this was the best chance they had. They didn't have any chances as long as the witches were around, which is why she had to go in the portal before Bridget could. Before Bridget could do whatever she was planning to open the portal, Thorn immediately dived towards it, continuing to keep an extremely tight grip on Gus and Luna's hands. "Thorn, what are you doing?" Luna shrieked. "The necklace!" Thorn simply responded. "Grab it!" Luna quickly yanked the necklace off of Dusk's neck, and she allowed Thorn to pull her inside the portal with her. Gus, however, struggled to try to let Thorn go of his hand, just before she jumped inside the portal. Thorn looked deep in Gus's eyes, with an invulnerable look. "Gus, you have to trust me," Thorn softly said. She noticed the portal was beginning to close. She knew very well that if he didn't trust her in the next moments, he would struggle to free to grip the remain with the witches. Thankfully, he nodded in his head, and looked at the trust as understanding, as Thorn pulled him into the portal with her. Perhaps they would be killed off in the portal, but both Gus and Luna now realized that she was giving them a chance to live. "Luna, hold on to Dusk," Thorn said, as her body was going to the portal. "No, what are you doing?" Dusk shrieked. Thorn saw her let go of Dusk's grip. The last thing Thorn heard before consumed by the portal was Bridget screaming, basically cussing at her. Thorn, Luna, and Gus found themselves in a strange universe that was only comprised with the empty space. It's almost as if there were a white backdrop, but only their surroundings were complete whiteout. Their bodies and clothes were the only thing they had any sorts of color in the universe. Everything else was simply nothingness. There appeared to be no gravity here, and all of them simply were floating in the air. Luna attempted to move a few inches by making a swimming motion with her hands, which it seemed to allow her to move wherever she wanted to go. "Where the hell are we?" Thorn said, looking panicked. Nobody was even more panicked than Luna, though. She still had no idea why Thorn pulled them into this awful hellscape. "It appears we've gone into some sort of parallel universe," Gus observed. "Why would you pull us into that awful universe, Thorn?" Luna questioned, urgency present in her voice. "It's the only way we would have escaped," Thorn said. "If Bridget's mother wouldn't have been able to come through, Dusk would have been dead." "She might be dead by now," Luna panicked. "Dusk didn't come with you?" Gus asked in concern. "She didn't hold on to my hand tight enough. I couldn't bring her with us." Luna then hung her head, feeling bad that she couldn't bring her friend with. "We can't think that way," Thorn said. "Dusk is fine, and I refuse to believe otherwise until we see proof." "What do we do now?" Luna cried out. "Being trapped in this parallel universe seems like less of a plan than remain in our world dealing with the witches." "We anticipate their plan, though," Thorn argued. "Now they can't have Bridget's mother possess Dusk, and their plan won't work. It's not certain, but at least they've given us more of a chance. What if they just kill Dusk out of anger and us ruining her plan?" Luna questioned. Tears start to form in her swelled up eyes. "I don't think they will," Thorn seemed to be confident. "There's still a chance of their plan working in their minds, so they won't want to kill Dusk when they need her for the plan. One thing I don't understand, though, is why they need the two of us. We didn't really seem to have any purpose other than being part of Bridget's ritual. It was Dusk they wanted." "I hardly think now is the time to process this, though. Even though we've been swirling around in the parallel universe, that seems to identify the notions of gravity," Gus dryly stated. "Well, let's process what should we do then?" Thorn changed the subject. "Does anyone see anything?" Luna looked from side to side, then behind her. Everything was so blank that it didn't appear as there was anywhere to go. "I can't see anything," Luna gasped. "Nor can I," Gus sighed. "Wait, what about over there?" Thorn pointed out. Luna had to do a double take when she saw a set of twirl-swirling masses that looked like doors. "That wasn't there a minute ago," Luna blurted out in shock. "How is that even possible? It's literally right there," Thorn argued. "Actually, she's correct. I looked in the direction a moment ago and there was nothing there," Gus confirmed. "I don't trust either of these doors. Would they just appear like that when we weren't there before?" Luna then became suspicious. "I don't know. Would you rather stay in the empty space and wait for the doors to disappear again?" Thorn responded. "She's quite right, you know," Gus sided with the black-haired Hex girl. "Perhaps those doors could lead into danger, but staying in the empty space forever seems like a favorable alternative." "Okay." Luna still wasn't convinced. but she also didn't want to be trapped in this nothingness. Which one should we try? With the right one? Thorn suggested. You might say it seems like the right choice to make. Please, Thorn. This is hardly any time for puns. Thorn rolled her eyes. I thought it was quite clever, actually. Gus chuckled. I'm fine with either one if you are. It's not like they have much of a way of guessing the correct option. Sure, what do we have to lose except our lives? Luna gulped. We're all afraid, Luna, Thorn assured. But we've got each other, right? I guess, Luna said. She was still somewhat comforted by Thorn's remark, but was just so terrified of what she's going through the door would lead them in some imaginable universe of torture. Performing concerts was nothing special compared to this. She'd rather perform 3 shows in a row every night than to be trapped in the parallel universe like this. Are we ready? Thorn said, as she was about to take a step through the door to the right. Yes, Gus confirmed. He was not whimsical or warm like he usually is. He simply just said everything in a monotone, rational voice. Luna then took a deep breath before responding. She ultimately knew Thorn was right. If they didn't take their chances for this door, they may never escape from the world of nothingness. I'm ready. Thorn put on a big, brave face. How the hell could they do this to me? How? Bridget screamed. Dusk was more terrified than she ever was. Typically, she presented a stronger outer shell and hid all of her emotions and trouble and daddy issues inside. But nothing was coming through except fear. Bridget was clearly mentally unstable, and Dusk had no idea what she might do. Moreover, Thorn's revulsion that they might actually be touring with witches was terrifying to the blonde. Did you know anything about this? Bridget snarled in Dusk's face. No, I promise I didn't. Dusk whimpered as Bridget got closer to her personal space. I didn't even know you guys were witches. Well, should we even do the ritual with her mind to see if she's telling the truth? Sam cackled. I mean, there's not much we could do now. They can't stay in that portal forever, though. Maybe they'll even bring back your mother and sister back, Nia suggested. Sure, I think doing a ritual will do some good, Bridget agreed, her psychotic tone dropping to a normal voice. Besides, we could torture her if she's lying. I mean, we could torture her if she's not lying too, Sam pointed out. Aw, yeah, but that's not as fun, Bridget said in a playful voice. Dusk didn't understand how the pink-haired witch moods could suddenly switch from enraged playful in a matter of seconds. I like touring with people, because better, they really deserve it, you know? Dusk wasn't exactly sure what was going on, but all 3 of the witches gathered in the circle and closed their eyes. They didn't even say out loud, which made Dusk more confused to whatever's going on. Had the mind reading started yet? Yeah, it started, Nia responded. That made Dusk even panic more. It just started. Nia had directly answered one of her thoughts. Which one of her thoughts were they reading? It seems like you're telling the truth, Bridget smirked. Her tone became more softer and gentler. The poor thing had nothing to say of what was happening. She seems like she's got some daddy issues too. Do you want to tell us about those? Well, Dusk stuttered. This completely felt so surreal to her. She didn't know how to answer, although they could have just read her thoughts now if she didn't tell them anyway. Oh, come on, you can tell us. This is a safe space, you know, Bridget confronted in a terrifying way. I never told anyone about this, but my dad acts like he doesn't love me. He always praises my other siblings over me. And it seems like he's always disappointed no matter what I do, Dusk said, becoming emotional as she said these things out loud. She had never been so confident in people that she considered her best friends in this. In general, she was a very guarded person who rarely confided in others for comfort. Her motto was that you could never rely on anyone but yourself. So why bother trying? Aw, man, that sucks. Dads can be such a piece of shit, Sam said. My old man cut me off years ago for being a witch. Quite frankly, Dusk could see why. She wouldn't support evil witchcraft if Sam's father were either. He ordered me out of the house and shit, and the witchcraft was just some magical fantasy out of children's storybooks. I showed him, Sam continued. You killed him? Dusk guessed, her face recoiling in horror. No, I just put a spell on his house, and now he's got a higher mortgage rates possible, and he always ends up owing something back on his property taxes. Sam then rubbed her hands together, evilly, causing the two other witches to give her odd looks. It's called financial witchcraft. Sometimes it's the worst curse out of all of them. It's all being crushed by the pressures of adulthood. Bridget then returned back to the subject at hand and looked at Dusk. If you help us carry out this plan after your friends mess it up, maybe with you and your dad, kill him and torture him, whatever horrible thing you want done to him. I don't want him dead, Dusk cried out loud, or tortured. I just wish he'd be more accepting of what I love. It makes me happy to my music with my friends, and I think we could just be just as successful doing that we could be working like at a bank or starting small business. Oh, that's no fun, Bridget pouted. People rarely do what you want. Now it's more effective to make them do what you want. Speaking of, what do you want, Dusk? Dusk tried to change the subject right away from brutalizing her father. You said you wanted to help me out with carry your plan. What exactly do you want me to do? Bridget simply smirked and approached Dusk, causing the blonde's heart to race. I'm so glad you asked. Then the three combatants entered the door to the right. Thorn's saw was more shocking than she could have ever imagined. Normally, Luna, Gus, and Thorn were standing outside Jack's. It was just like the first day. None of this madness with touring than the witches ever happened. The portal led us back to Oakhaven? How the hell is that even possible? Thorn exclaimed. It is possible that we've been in a portal this whole time. Maybe we never left Oakhaven in the touring and this was all just an alternative reality? Luna hypothesized. It appears that you girls were performing here tonight as well. Gus pointed out the banner hanging over to Jack's. Wait, what? How? What time is it? Thorn looked around frankly. She had no idea what was going on. The only way to find out is if we go in, Gus said, heading inside of Jack's, holding the doors to open for them. Jack's, as if it was just usually was, moderately busy, with people eating at every booth. About half the booths of tables were empty, but it was pretty typical for Jack's, even though nights they had concerts. The place was rarely packed. Jack was over at the far right corner, serving a man and a woman with 2 sandwiches and side salads. Hey girls, Jack said as he saw Luna and Thorn. He didn't act as if he had seen them in a while, or rather just excited and acted like he always had whenever the girls would come in every day to write music and wait for Dusk's shift to end. Hi Gus, Thorn greeted, feeling a bit awkward adjusting to her surroundings. She just tried to accept the fact that everything that happened in the past week and a half with touring was a dream, even though it was unlikely she, Luna, and Gus had the same dream. I'm so excited for the performance tonight, Jack said. I have a feeling you girls are going to bring the house down. Seems like a pretty nice crowd, Gus commented. Yeah, business has been great lately, Jack replied. Your girls are going to make a ton with this concert. Thanks, Jack, Luna smiled. We'll go set up the instruments. Alright, I got this next order going through, Jack said, bringing it back to the kitchen. How are we going to do that, though? Thorn asked. We don't have any instruments with us. Excuse me, ladies, a voice said. Before anyone could respond to Thorn, the black-haired hex girl spun around to see it was Elmer, the old man who had always asked them about when they were putting out the CD at their previous concerts. Hi, Thorn smiled. Elmer, right? That's right, Elmer responded. I wanted to ask you girls if you'll be putting out another CD sometime soon. Martha's getting sick of me grooving to the same CD every time we go out for a Sunday drive. We're working on it, Thorn lied. Honestly, she was still completely weirded out by the fact that she had no idea what the hell was going on or what had been happening the last week. Great. I am sure your wonderful ladies will come up with something so good the world will be twisted more than you'll ever have a chance as a slice of a chubby checker, Elmer exclaimed. What was so eerie about the scenario is that everything seemed completely normal. Thorn honestly wasn't sure what she believed anymore. They actually had been on tour and gone through a portal, or had their reality been performing around Oakhaven, being a semi-famous band around every town never changed? The one thing deeply bothered Thorn was that no mention of Dusk at all. Surely Jack would have asked where Dusk is when he saw she wasn't with them, unless Jack knew something that they didn't. Then there was still a problem of not having any instruments. They couldn't exactly expect to find the instruments when they didn't even know what reality was. Thorn then took a glance over at Jack for a moment. she had noticed something a bit odd. He was serving someone a sandwich that looked like a fourth size that it should be. It wasn't even big enough for a fairy to be called a snack. I've heard people asking for half sandwiches before, and it seems like a little much, Thorn joked as Jack came back over her way. The poor woman must be starving. Well, we've been having to make sacrifices lately, you know. These surreal times, Jack sighed. Ever since the war, I had to cut back on the portion size to abide with rationing laws. Did you say war? Luna gasped. Before Jack could respond, Elmer stood up from the booth and spoke. All right, you whippersnappers, listen up, because your supreme ruler has the right to speak with you. Suddenly, the door to Jack's flew open with great force. A few autumn leaves blew in. Everyone was building immediately straight up and looked at fear present in their eyes. Thorn became fearful and unsure of what could possibly in the world be going on. All right, you anthric mortals, and stand your attention, a voice commanded. The man had blonde hair, wore a very sparkly long-looking pants with stars on them. His purple suit also appeared to have stars on it, knit further with the purple cape. Thorn's jaw dropped who it was. Jeff? She gasped. I used to be called that, starting back in the days I was producing that graphical music on instruments, Jeff informed. But then I discovered the wonderful electronic music. It's simple. All I have to do is hit a button on my computer, and I can have every sound of my instruments in the world at my fingertips. Recently, I realized that, instrumental music was so inferior that it needed to be eliminated forever. I began thus my crusade of waging war on the outdated, artifact devices that you call instruments of every country. Some of them are still fighting, but I have them all kneeled down before me soon. I spent months creating the electronic beats and have product, so to the point that the world's armies couldn't help but surrender me because I'm the ruler of your pony universe now. Called me Lord Jeff. That hardly seems like grounds are taking over the world, Gus chuckled. You dare mock the whole magnificent and wonderful music of electronic stuff? Jeff challenged. Well, I'll show you. Play me a beat, loyal followers. The middle-aged man wearing up a button-up shirt got up from his seat. Jeff handed him some sort of CD, which he handed to Jack. I'll get the boombox, Lord Jeff, Jack excitedly said, hurrying over to grab the boombox out of the kitchen. I'll film you, Lord Jeff, another man who Thorn recognized the blue-collared shirt and tighty pants replied. It appeared to be Jake, the cameraman from the Milky morning show. They were quickly on. He quickly pulled out the camera and began filming. Excellent. Thank you, my loyal followers, thank you, Jeff exclaimed. Wait, Jake, did you turn off the camera without telling anyone yet? Jake's face then grew a mischievous look and smile before turning the camera back on. You mean to say people be enslaved by you? Gus inquired in surprise. Enslavement? I hardly prefer to call it progress. You know our motto, right, loyal Jeffiners? Jeff called. Jeff is progress. Jeff is future. The entire restaurant called. I got the boombox, Lord Jeff, Gus exclaimed with glee. Well then, what are we waiting for, loyal follower? Press play. My boy, press play, Jeff instructed. Oh my gosh, I didn't know if I could just take it. I just can't wait to see what you've come up with, oh great leader. Jack looked more excited than Thorn ever seen him before. The genetic sounding and electronic dance beat playing from the boombox. Thorn couldn't believe it when she heard the words. Dance in my pants, don't be afraid when the demon chants. Jeff's extremely off-toned voice shouted over from the beat of the CD recording. Jeff audibly began dancing around the best place he played. After his followers watched for a moment, they too began dancing, almost in a hip-hop way. Come on, join in, Jeff encouraged Thorn and Dusk and Luna and Gus. No thanks, Lord Jeff, Thorn said, slowly backing towards the door. Come on, darlings, call me by my dancer name, Francie Pants, Jeff said, his voice shifting from a commanding, fabulous feminine as he failed about. I think we'll be leaving now, Thorn said, hurrying towards the door. Like I'm with you. Luna scurried over to escape with Thorn. Gus was quick to follow. Before they could escape out of the door, another man entered the restaurant. His face looked absolutely terrifying, with long black hair and a ghostly white face. Hey, diner man, I'm looking for someone to eat, the man inquired. Great to see you again, Michael. And how would you like your eggs today? Jack inquired. Michael's face just had a very big smirk. Just beat it. Fawn maneuvered around Michael as quickly as she could and hurried out with the door with Gus and Luna. What's that, Michael Jackson? Luna said, looking shocked and confused. I mean this universe. I'd hardly be surprised if it was, Gus replied. We need to get out of this universe, as this is clearly not where Bridget intended to go. But to put it bluntly, nothing makes sense here. This must be what the book I found in the library meant. This medallion doesn't send people through time. It alters the space and time continuum by allowing you to go to alternative timelines, Luna realized. I think the portal's still open, Fawn exclaimed in relief as she ran towards it. Thank God, Gus said. Jumping through the portal, Luna and Fawn quickly followed, diving it back to presumably nothingness.